What's going on, guys? Drewzy here, back again with another South Park Phone Destroyer video. Here in today's video, we're doing yet another card showdown episode, and today we're going to be focusing on Space Warrior Token versus Hercules Clyde. Most of you guys have put a lot of different suggestions in the last showdown video that I did as I've restructured the showdown system here going forward on the channel. A lot of you had a lot of positive feedback for the new changes that I did make to the showdown series. If there's any other changes you guys would like to see, please let me know down below in the comment section. And as always, if there's any specific showdowns you'd like to see, also leave those comments down below in this video or in other showdown videos. As I do look at those, I do process some of them, and I will start implementing more of those showdown suggestions as we go forward, again, if I deem them necessary. So let's just quickly go ahead and jump into the showdown, again, between Hercules Clyde and Space Warrior Token. The reason why I chose these two cards, even though one has a war cry, one has a charge ability, in my opinion, they have a lot of similarities between the two cards. Again, different, basically, abilities, but they both have basically a charge or rush kind of ability where they will come and attack the nearest unit to them. There are, again, some major differences. Both are fighter cards, both are 3 energy cost, and that was one of the big intriguing factors to see which of these two would come out in a battle royale between the two cards. So let's just quickly, again, go right into the showdown. And for the first card we're going to look at is going to be Space Warrior Token. Now, again, as I mentioned in the last showdown video, the card levels that we're going to focus on are leveled cards that realistically most Legendary PvP players will have these cards at. So most people in Legendary in the lower tiers will have a level 4 maxed possible rare card, and then some of the higher up tier people might have a level 5 maxed tier rare card. So that is what we're going to look at. So max level 4 is going to be in orange, and max level 5 will be in purple as far as here on the screen. So type and theme for Space Warrior Token. He is a fighter card from the sci-fi theme. He has a rare rarity, which I've mentioned multiple times so far already. His maximum health at max level 4 is 352 health, and his max health at level 5 is 454. That is a 102 health difference between max level 4 and max level 5. For max damage, his max damage at level 4 max level is 83, and at max level 5 is 105 with a difference of plus 22. His attack speed is a 2 even. His range is 0.6. His movement speed is 0.675, which is typical for a lot of fighters and almost all ranged units within the game. His damage type is single target. He will only do single target damage, both with his charge ability and with his single attack. He is a ground unit on the battlefield. His special ability, again, is a charged ability that rushes and strikes the nearest enemy. Now, the key in this wording is not only will it attack the nearest enemy unit on the field, it will also attack the enemy new kid if there are no units on the field, which can be a huge advantage for Space Warrior Token. He's going to do this flat damage that will scale, of course, as you level him up to either the closest unit or closest enemy new kid. He's one of the few characters that has a charged ability that will affect the enemy new kid straight up, and that, in my opinion, is something to take into account. So his special ability, charge ability, will do 139 total damage at max level 4, and at max level 5 will do 174 for a 35 damage difference between max level 4 and max level 5. One other thing that I did put small in parentheses here is the in-between time between his charge abilities, which is 8.5 seconds. So it does take quite a bit of time to get his charge off. So if you start him from the back line, way behind your enemy new kid, your allied new kid, it will take, I believe, up until the midline for the charge ability to get off. I don't play Space Warrior Token that much, have not leveled him as much, and as maybe I will eventually here, as I've been focusing on some other sci-fi cards within that theme, because it is my favorite theme, and there are some other sci-fi cards I really enjoy more than Space Warrior Token currently. But again, it's going to be 8.5 seconds to get to that charge line, so I don't fully recall as far as where he has to be on the line to then finally pull off the charge. If you guys know that for a fact, please put that in the comments section down below for anyone that would truly like to know that information. He is a 3 energy cost, and he is a mid-tier in the current meta. That just means that about half of some of the legendary players do play him versus maybe half don't, including myself. I don't play Space Warrior Token currently in my current main deck right now within Sci-Fi Theme. So now that we've talked about Space Warrior Token, let's quickly talk about Hercules Clyde. So Hercules Clyde, again, we're going to go max level 4 stats and max level 5. So max level 4 are in green, max level 5 are in blue. So his type is fighter card, theme is mystical. His rarity is rare, same as Space Warrior Token. His max health at max level 4 is 347 versus his max health at max level 5 is 449, a 102 health difference, which is the same scaling for both Space Warrior Token and Hercules Clyde. His maximum damage output, 77 to 100, which is a plus 23, which is a mildly better scaling than what Space Warrior Token has as he levels up. His attack speed is a 2.1, which is a little bit slower than what Space Warrior Token has. And his range is a 0.7, which is just barely a little bit better than what Space Warrior Token does. Same movement speed at 0.675. He does do single target damage both with his Warcry ability and with his single target damage. And he is a position card that will be on the ground as well. His special ability, again, is a Warcry ability that runs and hits the nearest enemy with a magical force that stops their charge. So this will do two things. Number one, it will charge forward, doing a specific amount of damage, which is 138 damage at max level 4 and 177 damage at max level 5, which scales to plus 39 damage from 4 to 5 at max level. But it also basically does power bind as well to the enemy that it hits. I believe, if I'm 100% correct, it does not power bind multiple units within an aura effect, only the specific unit that it hits. So you can use this to your advantage, and it is basically it is a permanent power bind unless purified. So that is one thing that is nice, because power bind generally can be removed after a certain duration and only lasts for a certain amount of time. His power bind is essentially permanent unless you purify it or the unit dies. So that is something that can be undervalued, I think, with Hercules Clyde as far as his ability is concerned, because it's basically a mild spell card with a charged ability in its own right, but it is a Warcry, so it will only charge the one time. So that's, again, information that to put in consideration when we compare these two cards here in a second. Energy cost is 3, and current meta tier he's considered a mid tier as well. Again, about half of the PvP players play him and half don't right now within the game. So again, guys, let's quickly compare both Hercules Clyde and Space Warrior Token in a compare-off to see who is going to be the champion. Both these stats are being considered based on their max level 5 stats. So type and theme is kind of a draw because it doesn't really matter. Rarity is a draw because both are rares. For max health, Space Warrior Token has a little bit more health than Hercules Clyde, so he wins in that regard. For max damage, Space Warrior Token has a little bit more damage than Hercules Clyde, even though Hercules Clyde has a little bit better scaling in damage output than Space Warrior Token. Space Warrior Token at the end of the day will have more damage output than Hercules Clyde at max level 5. For the range, Hercules Clyde has a mild range increase over Space Warrior Token, so he would win in the range category. For movement speed, damage type, and position, all are draws because all are the same. For the special ability, now this is kind of a back and forth, and I really debated in my head when I was breaking this all down of which one I thought was actually better. A lot of you will easily assume, because Space Warrior Token has a charge ability over a Warcry, that he would win in that regard alone. But because Space Warrior Token's charge ability takes 8.5 seconds to get built up to cast, in reality, how many times realistically are you going to get that charge ability off? Probably only one time per cast. So look at it as it's kind of a Warcry ability in its own right. Even though it can happen multiple times, in reality, it's not going to happen. You're most likely only going to get it to go one time. So that's why in my head, for a second, I had Hercules Clyde's Warcry a little bit better, because it is a mild spell card with power bind, as well as doing the immediate charge damage to the nearest unit. So pretty much similar to what Space Warrior Token does. Hercules Clyde's damage does spec a little bit better and does scale higher, but Space Warrior Token does a little bit more damage with his special ability over Hercules Clyde. But the biggest thing that put Space Warrior Token ahead, in my opinion, was the fact that his charge ability will hit the enemy new kid, where Hercules Clyde's will not. He will only hit the nearest unit, or I believe Hercules Clyde's will not hit the enemy new kid. So that was why I put Space Warrior Token winning in the special ability category. But this might be relatively debated back and forth. Maybe not. Maybe all of you will just say, of course Space Warrior Token's special ability is better because of the charge ability over Warcry. And you'd be right in that regard. But there are two different things to consider between these two cards that I really think the special ability between these two in the Showdown are a little bit closer than what you might think when you're just looking and trying to compare these two cards just face to face. So I really think that this was a much closer special ability, kind of back and forth than I think a lot of people realized. Energy cost and current meta tier are draws, but again, meta tier, like I said in the last Showdown, really doesn't matter. It doesn't really make or break a card. So then that of course means that the winner based on scoring is Space Warrior Token. But in reality, again, I think that this was a much closer breakdown or Showdown than originally thought in my head. I thought Space Warrior Token would run away with this, and in theory he kind of did. But the scaling and the damage and the health and the range and the movement speed and a lot of other things were fairly close or the exact same with these two cards. So I really don't think there is a huge disparity between the two, and that actually kind of surprised me as I went through these different things. So again guys, let me know down below if there's any other specific Showdowns you would like to see here on the channel in the comments section down below. If you're not following any of my social media outlets, all of them are here to the side of me, and all of the actual information for each of those social media outlets are down below in the description. As always guys, thank you for the continued support here on the channel. You guys have been absolutely amazing and are a big reason why I continue to do all these different series and all these different episodes for you guys. But until next time guys, my name is Drewzy.